guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
Hello, and welcome to another episode, another edition of the American Awakening. Hopefully the stuff is playing, although it's not now, because why would it? But, well, it might actually be playing there. Who really knows? The little lights are flashing, so we're going to go with that. There we go. I have no idea why that just happened. A fun day today, folks. A fun day. Hey, you know, it's not as easy as it looks. A lot of stuff going on here. But we're doing this to try to cut through the fake news that you're dealing with every day and to cut through all this garbage. So we're doing our best here, folks. Welcome again to the American Awakening. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Hoo-ah! Got a great show lined up for you today. As long as everything keeps working. I don't know if it even, We'll hopefully have a pretty good show lined up for you today. Again, my name is Patrick Berge, and I am your host, otherwise known as, well, I got a rap name now of OG Iceberg. But I can't actually rap. So working on that with Kevin Holly, trying to get his ass out of retirement. Yes, Trump's still your president. Don't forget that. Today is episode 5. Can you believe it? We can almost not count all the shows on one hand. Next week, we can't. We'll literally need 2 hands. Episode 5 is called Election Integrity. So, the music apparently just stopped, but hey, what do you do, right? I don't think it actually stopped, but there we go. All sorts of things I've dealt with. Actually, even like right now, as this is being recorded, there's actually probably a pretty good chance Freedom Stream's down, but actually it's not. I'm looking at it on my phone. That's amazing. I've been dealing with that all the way up into the show with the damn Patreon login connections are causing me some major issues. Like to thank IRNbroadcast.com for allowing us to stream. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters at patreon.com/theshadowNetHacker. FreedomStream.tv. We'll be streaming this live. We'll be doing all this stuff very shortly. Also putting an IRN channel on there. Thank all my folks. You can reach me at Twitter at PFC40book. That's on Twitter at PFC40book. And on YouTube at the American Awakening. And with that, we're going to kind of breeze our way on into what I got lined up today. Let me just I'd like to pull this up because I didn't have it open. Where are we at here? There it is. Chrome 1. That'll work. Let me Chrome 1. Let me transition that over. Nope, it's not going to work. Okay, Chrome 1. There we go. Let's go to maybe Chrome. Well, there will work. Yeah, I bet that'll work. Maybe not. Nope. Let me see here. So, of course, Chrome is no longer working, although I got it pulled up here. Freedom Stream in private. There we go. So there we go. So what we got here right now is I've got freedomstream.tv pulled up for those of you that are able to watch this online. Freedomstream.tv, doing a lot of upgrades to it, doing a lot of updates to it. I've just cleaned up the store where you'll be able to get your freedomstream.tv swag. You'll also be able to shortly get some other providers, some other channels that I'm bringing online here. You'll be able to get some swag from them as well. I'm going to be putting an IRN channel on there, so you'll be able to come to freedomstream.tv/IRN in the next maybe week, and we'll have hopefully a nice easy way for people to be able to check out IRN, check out the Freedom Stream on IRN, and maybe catch a Bergie bit or two. Let me do this here real quick. I've got a thing that I'd like to show you. This was an article that NPR, or a story that NPR did on Millennial Millie Weaver, and Steve Bannon, and it's the YouTube struggle with live video, right? That's just all fine and dandy, but you know, let me just play this and then we'll talk about it for a moment, okay? Bear with me one moment. Notice when I play this, the advertisements. You gotta love that. Keep note to that. Hopefully we'll be able to, it'll actually play. Maybe not. So there's, you know, I'm glad my site's not the only one having a problem, because NPR is not playing for crap either. When I played this earlier, it kind of played and then stopped. There we go. Then play it again.
Hey NPR. Today, Rad Power Bikes is the largest e-bike brand in the U.S. But growing up, founder Mike Radenbaugh hated biking to school. Tap the button below to hear Mike's story in a new episode of How I Built This. Support for How I Built This and NPR come from 3M. Learn how 3M is helping the world respond to COVID-19 at 3m.com/COVID. 3M Science, applied to life.
And now...
Great job, NPR. You're having a crappier day than I am with your site. It'll start playing again shortly. I'm dealing with tremendously good bandwidth right now. This is definitely not on my end. I got 50 up and 500 down, so I'm putting this on NPR. But at any rate, hey, that's all you needed to hear. The rest is pretty much garbage from them, right? So
took their most aggressive stance against election misinformation last week, flagging tweets and putting warning labels on questionable allegations. And yet false claims and conspiracy theories still reached a lot of people. One reason? Live video. NPR tech correspondent Shannon Bond joins us now to explain. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, Ari.
Start off by telling us about some of these live videos that have popped up since last week. Like, what do you see in them?
Well, how much time do you have? So let's start with Election Day. There were fake results that were live streamed on YouTube, which is the video platform owned by Google. And one of these live streams actually reached the top 5 on Google's results for vote tallies in swing states. And, that meant that hundreds of thousands of viewers saw some of these streams before YouTube eventually took them down. We also are seeing live commentary from influencers, sort of like what you would see on cable news, right? And so these influencers will push these false narratives about voter fraud. They'll show tweets, they'll play other video clips, and they often frame them as saying, well, I'm just asking questions, or people on the internet are saying this. Another tactic we see is what is effectively fake live video. So people post video from something that happened last year, or take a video from a protest in one city and claim it's live from another city, and they'll use trending hashtags on those videos to reach a lot of people.
I think we're all familiar now with how social media companies can crack down on text and photos that stay up for a while and you pull them down. How do you do that with live video? I mean, it seems like a unique challenge.
Yeah, I mean, we did see these companies move really quickly last week, labeling posts from President Trump and his supporters making false claims. But live video is harder to stop the spread of. For one reason, it's live, and you can't scan it as quickly as text. Here's what Evelyn Dueck told me. She's at Harvard Law School. She studies the platform's rules.
It's harder to search video content as opposed to text. And so it's a lot harder to scrutinize what's going on, and it's a lot more time consuming.
And so these videos, they may eventually get taken down by the platforms, or a label is put on saying they're misleading. But in the meantime, they reach lots and lots of viewers.
What do the companies say?
Well, we should say, first of all, that Google, Facebook, and TikTok are all among NPR's financial supporters. Now, Facebook and YouTube both say they're taking steps to limit the reach of misleading claims made on live video, by limiting distribution or not recommending them. But they're still slow at this. I mean, take last week, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon went on a live stream on Facebook and YouTube, and he called for Dr. Anthony Fauci and FBI Director Christopher Wray to be beheaded. YouTube and Facebook both deleted this video, but only hours after it had gone live, had lots and lots of people had seen it. The companies also penalized Bannon's account. He can't post new posts or new videos, but that was a less aggressive stance than Twitter, which permanently suspended Bannon's account. And another tricky challenge for these platforms is, a video doesn't just stay on one platform. So in many cases, somebody will take a snippet of a live feed from YouTube, right, with baseless rumors and spreading these sort of claims. They'll put that up on TikTok. Maybe TikTok takes it down because it also doesn't allow some of these misleading claims. But those things get reposted, and it's just really...
Okay, I can't listen to any more of that, or my head will explode. I mean... Okay, people, well, let's start right from the beginning with what was wrong with that. Okay, she doesn't acknowledge that YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, isn't TikTok being investigated for Chinese spies and stuff? Yeah, it is, people, right? And Democrats used to actually get and understand the issue with China, right? They don't seem to anymore. NPR and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting were started by Congress, by our Congress, because they knew that with the advent of radio, with the advent of TV, that eventually corporations and or our government were going to abuse these services, right? They were going to use them in malicious ways, potentially, to influence vast swaths of Americans. And they saw that as being a true, legitimate threat to our democracy. Why? Because it is a true, legitimate threat to our democracy, right? So, they did that and they funded them. And it kind of worked well. It kind of worked okay for a bit, until they started doing, taking ads. And they started to grow. They went from small donors, contributing to like WMNF here in Tampa. It's a national public radio. It's an NPR. It's a nonprofit. And again. Why didn't NPR investigate me? I could argue I went to WMNF back in 2015 telling them, listen, I worked for Obama's national security advisor. I strongly believe that the weapons, the tools that I helped develop to use against our enemies were going to be used on us or were being used on us. And that's why I started freedomstream.tv. I'd like to take a moment right now to again thank IRNbroadcast.com for allowing us to do the podcast every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters. Don't do that enough. Can't do that enough. Sorry about the issue with the login with WordPress. It's kind of not on me right now. Patreon Pro plugin for WordPress is kind of jacked up. And that's why the site's kind of jacked up. But it looks like it's still streaming. So we're good there. I'll work on that. I should be working on it now, but I can't. freedomstream.tv is the place to go. Eventually, freedomstream.tv is going to hopefully turn into safevet.org, or safevet.org will absorb freedomstream.tv, and it will become a veterans-based nonprofit. Why? Because just like IRN, just like NPR and Corporation for Public Broadcasting, just like they were worried about being maliciously influenced, we are too, right, with the internet. So safevet.org is kind of a veterans-based solution for that, right? But again, and let me, I'm going to go to the Bannon interview here that somebody turned me on to. And I wanted to play a few moments of that because it kind of digs into a lot of things a bunch of stuff that I went into last week when it comes to election integrity and whatnot. But again, that's what safevet.org is for. NPR has been completely corrupted. You can't trust a word that woman's saying right there. I mean, she's literally, because she's so casual and nonchalant about the fact that, well, I should point out that, Facebook, Twitter, all these people are huge sponsors of us. Pretty sure you're going to find Atlantic Council very close. I'm sure you're going to find Voice of America. I just found out recently, just a couple days ago, that Tucker Carlson's dad, right, used to be the director of Voice of America, which is directly tied to IIA, and his dad was also the head of either Corporation for Public Broadcasting or NPR, one of the two. CPB actually oversees NPR. I think he was in charge of all of them, right? That's Tucker Carlson's dad, the guy that you're supposed to believe is a straight shooter on Fox News. His dad basically headed one of the largest PSYOP government organizations, Voice of America. I'm not breaking anything classified there, folks. That's literally what they advertise themselves as. I want to play a quick clip here of the War Room, and this is actually, it's not the clip that I wanted to play with Bannon and General McInerney, where General McInerney goes into scorecard and hammer. I'll dig into that a little bit, maybe in the next little 10-minute segment that we put out. But for right now, I wanted to play this. This is that attorney, Sidney Powell, and she's talking about. She goes into how the hammer, in her opinion, and their investigations concluded it's been moved off-site to a private military-industrial complex company. I'm thinking Clear Force.
NATO patches are typing at the 10 for a hatch for us. Why is this not 10 for a hat and hammer and scorecard? Well, there's already evidence from...
Okay, so that was absolutely sounding awful. It sounded awful through here, so I'm assuming it is through there. I don't know why. Let me see if it plays better now.
Multiple sources that it exists.
There we go.
And absolute confirmation of it. It's even been moved off its original site into a private company that they're trying to protect it from. But Obama, Biden, Clapper, Comey, Mueller all know about it, helped create it, and know how to use it against the American people. There's evidence that any number of judges, I think over 100 judges they collected information on, a lot of lawyers, thousands of lawyers, including me, I'm told, was collected on by it. And businesses, particular businesses, churches, they've gotten names and addresses of people from certain churches, anti-abortion groups. They're using it for their social and political issues.
When you're FBI director, you're going to clean all this up? The American people get a commitment from you that you're going to do this?
Yes, regardless of political party. I will be a very highly equal opportunity offender. Sidney
Powell, you heard it there first.
I'm not entirely sure about that, being that I'm entirely sure, well, 98% sure, that she has known about my work with Obama's National Security Advisor, ShadowNet, for, at least over a year, probably longer. So, I kind of always revert back to, why the hell don't these people ever call me up and ask me about this? Now, General McInerney, which I'm not going to pull up right now, was also was talking about scorecard. What he said about scorecard, from an IT perspective, I'm really struggling with that. What he's talking about, if I heard him right, is the ability to basically hack into the central computing system, central tabulating system for the Supervisor of Elections Office, specifically county by county. Let me put this in here real quick. And they would be able to then change the vote outcome of the optical scanners that are automatically reporting into central count, all right, to a central location. Now, to that extent, I would argue, hey, it's an optical scanning system. It is not that garbage that, and I spoke about that last week. Again, it's not that garbage of the touchscreen voting machines that they wasted $75 million in Florida on back in 2004. And then the same guy who pushed for them, Kurt Browning, which this is easily verifiable, people. That same guy, who was the election supervisor I ran against in 2004, that same guy, Kurt Browning, turned around and was tapped as Secretary of State after he had beat me. Charlie Crist, our now Democrat congressman. It's really hard to keep these all straight, folks. Charlie Crist, our now Democrat congressman, when he was the Republican governor, tapped Kurt Browning to be Secretary of State. Kurt Browning turned around and banned all touchscreen voting machines. Florida went to optical scanning. Now, that's bad that most of that $75 million ended up going into a shredder, into a recycling center in Tampa, because the voting machine companies offered Browning $1 a piece to buy those $7,000 a piece touchscreen systems back. And they had to put like 50 or so of those touchscreen systems in each of the precincts, whereas you only have to put 2 of the optical scanning systems. By the way, you can get this mug online at freedomstream.tv. Hopefully, I'll have the site working a little bit better, but don't worry about placing your order and such. The orders are absolutely secure. The fact that I've got things really too secure right now is part of my problem, but the turnaround time on the mugs and other things are absolutely phenomenal, right? I'm working on updating some of the prices and some of the and integrating more accurate shipping. But and you'll go there and you say, "Wow, this is ridiculous price, whatever it is, ridiculous price you have for this mug," and you'll say, "I can pick up a mug at Walmart for $1.50," and you can, right? But $1.50 isn't going to do squat to help support Freedom Stream. So come on, people, right? Whatever we put this at, you'll get a nice mug, and you'll be able to help support freedomstream.tv, right? Because that's what it's about. And you'll help support SafeVet in the process. So all this goes back to the partisan election officials, right? Not being able to trust the person who counts your vote, right? That's why when I ran for election official in 2004, I ran with no political affiliation. It was my introduction to the political swamp, right? You've got your DC swamp, which is like, I'm just going with, it's like threat actors Mecca for the for the regular swamp creatures. They just kind of got to go there to DC every once in a while to show their allegiance or something. I don't know. But the place, the whole whatever it is just corrupt as the day is long. So look at what we got here at Clear Force, right? What does insider risk look like? Well, it looks like you're trying to do social credit scores to me, right? Look at that guy. Doesn't he look like a little, like a Chinaman? Can you say Chinaman anymore? I don't think you can. But he looks, Chinese. They all look so happy having their lives probed both inside and outside of work. I'm going to go to the About Us page really quick. Hey, look at the board of directors. Who we got? Although they did take this down and modify it. Since Shadowgate came out. Hey, this looks like a new guy. I don't know. He looks like post-Shadowgate material. Yep, he was there, Shadowgate. Hey, look at what we got here. General James L. Jones, United States Marine Corps retired. He was a general, 4-star general. He was the NATO Supreme Allied Commander. And he was also, his son was profiting in the millions of dollars on DoD contracts while he was a NATO Supreme Allied Commander. You would think somebody would have a problem with that, right? But not so much. And nobody cares. I worked for him for 8 years. I answered directly to his son. I know what I'm talking about, right? So, you got the, here we go. Well, we got his son, Jim. I answered directly to Jim for, like I said, pretty much the entire 8 years I was there. Oh, look at this. We got General Michael Hayden. Wait a minute. Wasn't Michael Hayden involved with Hammer when it was apparently a DOD, like a classified DOD taxpayer appropriated weapon? And now he sits on the board of Clear Force, which was built from the core of ShadowNet, which ironically was a DOD taxpayer-funded weapon that we built to use on our enemies. It just worked so good. These retired generals said, hey, this works so good. Why aren't we using it back home to win elections? But nobody cares. You can easily verify everything I say, but we're so screwed, people. And everybody's running around right now going, oh my God, I can't believe that the election's being stolen. Well, yeah, you can. I saw Judge Pirro got fired a couple days ago. Rotten hell, as far as I'm concerned. Judge Pirro, I spoke to her in December of 2018, right? Spoke to Sarah Carter like a week or so after that. I literally spoke to both of them on the phone, and there's no mistaking Judge Pirro's voice. Right when, after working with him for about a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, I get a text message back. And you can look, all of this is available on freedomstream.tv under the American Awakening. I literally posted the text messages. They said, hey, we're working on this. We're going to be rolling this out on Fox the whole next week in different segments because there's a lot involved. And then that was Sarah Carter. And then I got a text message from Judge Pirro, like right after that, saying, hey, I'm reaching out to Congressman Nunes in our year issue. And then I never heard back from either of them again, right? Because they answer to these guys, right? I told Gavin in Shadowgate in Shadowgate 3 they got to redo they got to redo the little pipelines that they show how data flows from the NSA and then branches out to both the military-industrial complex contracts and like FISA courts and stuff, and how FISA has to request to the NSA for information or vice versa. And I'm like, no, we need to change that so that the data flow starts with the military-industrial complex, which taxpayers fund these contracts to have them control all the data, and then they turn around and the NSA turns around and essentially asks for permission to see their own data and access to their own data to these retired generals who own these companies, and then go on to become chairman of the board of Atlantic Council and on the Council of Foreign Relations, and you know, are trying to, you know, commercially go after all of our 5G. Google this, people. It's not just me saying that. This isn't NPR going, oh my God, this guy's just fake news. No. What the hell is NPR talking about? They go after Millie. Why? Why would they go after Millie? Instead of doing an interview with Millie, wondering if maybe what she's doing is right or wrong, because she's doing a hell of a lot better of a job than you guys are. I can say that for sure. Instead of going after Millennial Millie, why didn't you just call me up and maybe say, hey, you know, maybe we should have asked you about what was going on here, right? I don't know. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. I'm looking at my time, don't want to go over. But it seems like a reasonable thing to do, right? I mean, we need the last thing I'll touch on that was in the Bannon interview with McInerney, as McInerney was talking about how I think he quoted maybe Stalin or somebody who said who stressed said it was more important to be the one that counts the votes than it was to getting out the vote. And that's exactly why I ran as a nonpartisan NPA election official. Because why should elected officials be counting their votes, right? Why should they be the ones, why should a partisan election official, you need the person counting your votes to be someone you can trust. And I love how the Democrats are calling on the military to take over, to force Trump, who's, by the way, still your president, out of office, apparently if the Associated Press calls it, because, and I'm sorry, I didn't, because of all the Freedom Stream website issues I was dealing with earlier. I actually got some screenshots that if you go and you try to share that Bannon interview that I was talking about, if you try to share it, it says, hey, the election's over, and AP has already called the election for President Biden. Who the frick is AP? They're nothing but a bunch of freaking IIA assets, as far as I'm concerned. I didn't vote for them. They weren't appointed to any type of office. They were given constitutional protections that our military, our troops, that we should remind ourselves on Veterans Day, paid such terrible sacrifices for, myself included. I didn't sacrifice with my full measure, but I lost everything. I lost everything trying to do the right thing, trying to be a good patriot, enlisted at 39, turned 40 at basic training, and then to have these dumbasses take everything away because I refuse to put my company before country. I'm not going to do that. But that's not the right answer when it comes to these retired generals looking for these bigger wine cellars, so they'll just turn around and destroy you. I mean, again, we go into last week's thing with Mike Fasano with the Pasco swamp, right? He was shaking mad at me because I was questioning Kurt Browning, who was a 26-year Democrat a Democrat supervisor elections official that just switched to the Republican Party, right? He was protecting basically a Democrat. He was shaking. He got so mad at me. You really should listen to that episode from last week if you didn't really have a chance to do that. I can't lean back too far because I'm on a very tight leash with the headset. You know, you buy like Bose headphones and they give you a tiny little leash. So, at any rate, this is the problem, folks. I'm trying to actually solve it. We have solutions for them. FreedomStream.tv is a great solution for this, right? But FreedomStream.tv, if you don't like what somebody else is posting, right? Don't call me about that. Don't call FreedomStream.tv. No, we're not shadow banning. We're not blocking anything. Any more than Kinko's walks up to every person that uses one of their copy machines, looks at what they want to scan in before they do it, just like Section 230 protects the digital protections protect Kinko's from you doing that, right? That same thing. I'm not going to turn around. I don't want to look at everything you're copying. I don't want to be the arbitrator. I'm not the cops. If somebody is on freedomstream.tv and, God forbid, decides to post porn of an underage child, as reprehensible as that is, call the frickin' police. Do not call Facebook, right? If somebody says something that you think, or does something that you think is wrong or offensive, call the police. And if there is something that this person is violating somehow, then the police can contact Facebook. The police can contact Freedom Stream. We'll cooperate fully. But that's not what's happening, folks. Again, I'd like to stop and thank everyone at IRNbroadcast.com for allowing us to the platform for this for our podcast. And I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters. You can find us and help support us right now at patreon.com /the ShadowNet Hacker. Can you believe that wasn't taken? You can reach me on Facebook. Engage with me on Facebook. Follow some of this stuff. I really actually put more stuff on Facebook because it's harder to manage all of these different platforms and then keep everything up and running. So, you know, Facebook's a great place to find out good information updates that are actually factual and accurate, right? And then, of course, you can find us on YouTube. Just search for Patrick Berge or The American Awakening. I actually have it under The American Awakening, and we have some really good videos there, right? So, what we need to do is to, and this is, okay, this is going to, I debated even going here, right? Because everybody's going to go, oh my God. There are few people that want President Trump to remain in office more than me. I'm an Obama DOD whistleblower. I've literally been going after, filed a Ketam lawsuit in federal court, done all of this to expose the crimes that were being done by Obama's national security advisor. I can only assume because they were doing the same thing as both Clinton and Biden. I mean, I worked and answered directly for General Jones's son, Jim Jones. He was literally profiting while in office as Obama's national security advisor from the sale of taxpayer-funded DOD weapons contracts. He also did that while he was NATO Supreme Allied Commander, which again, you know, NATO countries should really, whose sons and daughters did pay the ultimate sacrifice, should really be a little ticked about this too. But it just, you know, the media won't report it. Judge Jeanine doesn't want those Gold Star parents to hear about the people who are funding and running and in control of Fox News. And and I'm not just being, that's just not hyperbolic, right? Literally, Rupert Murdoch is on the board of directors of Atlantic Council. John Huntsman whose daughter Abby Huntsman is a host on Fox News. He was the chairman of the board of Atlantic Council in 2014 when all those shenanigans were going on with Burisma, which were tied to Atlantic Council and these social justice programs that were getting hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, of taxpayer appropriated money. Then we've got, this is an oldie but a goodie, we've got Jillian Turner, literally a Fox News host right now. But before she was a Fox News host, she was the vice president of Jones Group International, right? Jones Group International, the largest Middle East oil lobby in D.C., right? And she was literally working for Jones Group International at the same time that she was working for Fox News. I suspect perhaps because of pressure that I had put on and things like that, she was forced to separate. But do you think maybe when she reports on something that hurts Russia, which is obviously going to help Saudi Arabia because they're competitors in the oil market, is her 401k going up when she attacks Russia or when they put out some BS impeachment Russian dossier, which was a total IIA operation with everybody's hands on it, that John McCain, hell, we were McCain's partner. Paul Manafort, we were Paul Manafort's number one partner when we were making the shadow net commercially available. I mean, come on, people. So Judge Jeanine thinks, well, we'll protect Rupert Murdoch. I'll protect my job. We'll protect all of these people. Sarah Carter's going to protect him. Dan Bongino, that slime bag, he blocked me the day after I handed him my key tam with a sign sworn, hey, I'm Obama's, I worked for Obama's national security advisor, probably need the same social media psychological warfare applications we indicted 13 Russians for. Next day, you would think that Dan Bongino would want to speak to somebody like me. I was actually a fan of his. I actually followed him for a long time. I wasn't anti-Bongino. The next day, he turned around and blocked me. A couple months later, he gets a massive ownership stake in that social media company, Parler, right? What's Parler? What are they doing? Do you care? Do you care that someone that would behave like that would block me, that would not even, that would have a show based on exposing deep state corruption, and as soon as it got close to somebody that he was close to, it doesn't, it's like, just get rid of that. So, this is the biggest problem that we have, folks, right? We have this relationship between our government, the military, and the military-industrial complex that is absolutely destroying our company. It's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom to see, who can destroy our country fast enough. They're determining all of our foreign and domestic policy. If you think for one moment that as you raced to get to the election booth, as you maybe had to pick up a ride because you're a senior citizen and you couldn't make it down, you had to vote for Joe Biden, right? Because Trump's orange man bad. Do you really actually think that your vote mattered? Because it doesn't matter who gets elected. They are bought and paid for the moment they step into that office. The moment they put that little congressional pin or Senate pin on, they're bought and paid for by the military-industrial complex. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means you'll either go on board with them and start, and become an asset that's profiting from them get nice money coming in from them, or you'll become an asset from them because they've collected dirt on you through applications like Hammer, which I believe is now ClearForce. I don't agree with Scorecard. I don't know anything about it, but I would say just from the offset, what was described by General McInerney, Hammer was designed to be basically a human, an intelligence thing that just collected tons and tons of information. What's ClearForce? ClearForce collects all of your social media in real time. It collects criminal background in real time. You go down through here and you're looking at these people. What is this? He's the founder of Blue Water International. Here's the chief executive officer and president of TransUnion. TransUnion? Kind of interesting, TransUnion. I believe didn't they get hacked with the Wikistrat releases when the Vault 7, when those that malware was released by Wikistrat or somebody. It was stolen, I think, from Stratfor. Don't quote me on that, but it's all in that same time period. Wikistrat is WikiLeaks, in my opinion. So if I'm right, and Wikistrat is WikiLeaks, and they love their naming their naming conventions, folks. Trust me, there. If Wikistrat is WikiLeaks, and literally it has the same people on the board. It has. Wikistrat has General Jones and General Hayden, same two faces you saw on ClearForce. They're on their board of directors. If you think that Wikistrat is WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks released the malware that only Stratfor owned, right? So if only Stratfor owned it, and they built it at taxpayer expense on a DoD contract, then obviously if they used it to hack something like TransUnion, they would be busted immediately, right? But if they were hacked and could use anonymity like you would find with anonymizer.com, again, partners with Dynology, then you could hack TransUnion using stolen, non-attributable hacking and malware capabilities developed at taxpayer expense. The fact that what I'm saying in my background is so easily verifiable, and the fact that no law enforcement officials ever contacted me back after I've gone to them, the fact that nobody has done anything about this should tell you everything, folks. It does. It really does. So once again, I would like to take a moment, do a kind of a station identification here. You're listening to the Freedom Stream podcast on IRNbroadcast.com. And I appreciate all your support. I appreciate all my Patreon supporters. For without their help, I would not have been able to put my time, which is everything, that I have into following up on all of this stuff, right? Because when I didn't know how all of this was tied in and connected back in 2015 when I filed my original IG complaint for the shenanigans that went on in South Korea, which I think that might be, that's definitely going to be probably even a bigger scandal than even Ukraine and some of these others. But no, follow all the support that I can get. Absolutely, I need, right? Patreon.com/TheShadowNetHacker. You can reach me you can follow me on Twitter at PFC40book. You can find me on YouTube at The American Awakening, and you can find all of that in one convenient package if it's actually still up and running, which it kind of looks like it is, at freedomstream.tv. So as we are rolling into the last 10 minutes of the broadcast, like to remind everybody to, if you can, everything that I'm talking about right here, pretty much most everything, unless it's something really new, was broken down, investigated by journalist Millie Weaver and others, but Millie actually put it together in a documentary called Shadowgate. And we have now Shadowgate 1, which was largely built around the shadow net and the scandal behind the shadow net. And Shadowgate 2 was basically a documentary that was put together post-haste following Shadowgate 1 to explain to people what actually went down, what happened, because we were literally attacked by the people who funded it. It was a Infowars funded documentary that Infowars didn't know about. And in all fairness, this wasn't supposed to happen. I'm sitting in Austin, Texas, waiting to go on Infowars, but I wasn't supposed to go on Infowars till Monday. Millie was literally in the process of uploading the video so that it could be shown to Gavin. I mean, that's all I knew at the time. That's all I know. That's all I knew. And I'm literally on the phone with Gavin talking to him about getting together with him on Monday and being able to go. And I didn't even want to do an interview. I didn't even want to be on Infowars. I just wanted to be able to talk to Alex Jones because I thought that he would benefit from being able to talk to me, and I knew I would be able to benefit from being able to talk to him because he was partner with Roger Stone. Roger Stone was partners with Paul Manafort. Now, whether or not it was the same time or not, I don't know. But Paul Manafort, at the time that we were making the ShadowNet commercially available in the U.S. for the purpose of influencing U.S. elections, Manafort, we were his number one partner. And he didn't have any products and we didn't have any salespeople. So kind of like, I just have questions, people. I just have questions. I wasn't accusing Alex Jones of being the in charge of the deep state, but the more I look at it, it kind of looks like Infowars is nothing but a fusion cell for the MIC, for the military-industrial complex. You know, you go to Infowars in Austin, Texas. You can find the address in the court documents, in the court papers, and they're literally surrounded by like all of the major players of the military-industrial complex. It's like at least they don't have to walk very far to be able to go and get their little asset, Alex Jones, to do their bidding. Kind of funny, I guess Alex Jones. He fired Caitlin Bennett, who put out the most trash video largely attacking Tori and Millie. She said she attacked me, but actually all she did is read quotes that I fully agree with. So thanks for that, Caitlin. I'm not sure what the status is on our friend old Akbar, but he has his own motives. Caitlin Bennett seems just kind of psychologically broken, most likely from some very horrific incident, which I understand happened back in college when she was in college, and I think she's just angry at the world and she's like a psychopath. Now Akbar, I would argue him to have more terroristic connections. I mean, literally his name's Ali Akbar, not Allahu Akbar. Could you imagine being named Ali Akbar and your mom like losing you at the mall and she's walking around going, Ali Akbar, Ali Akbar. People are freaking dropping and shit. But I mean, seriously, this guy is the biggest dirtbag you could ever imagine. Attacked me on every single level. Attacked everything but what the information was that was put out. In the Shadowgate documentary. You know, attacked the credibility of the people. It was funny in Shadowgate 2. We kind of went into this a little bit as well. USA Today were literally claimed to be victims of IIA back in a couple years ago, I think 2012 or 2014. They said they claimed to be victims of IIA when they were attacked by Camille Shidiak, who was the owner and founder of a company called Leone, who had a couple $100 million worth of contracts in Afghanistan, of which I worked for Leone for about 3 or 4 months back in 2010 when they had those contracts, and it was I think it was the same time that they were running the shenanigans with the tax evasion things, right? So USA Today, a couple of USA Today journalists do a report on Leone, claiming that, he's behind in taxes. Why is Leone getting these contracts? Now, I think that USA Today and Infowars basically were using their platforms to attack Camille Shidiak and Leone. Why? Because my boss, whom was in communications with me while I was working for them, wanted those $200 million in IIA contracts, right? That's a lot of money, folks. So I'm thinking somebody set Leone up, and then Leone Shidiak finds out, decides to get even and try to use IIA to discredit the credibility, to attack the credibility of the journalists, not try to explain the questions the journalists are asking about the $4 million in back taxes. Let's attack journalists. So they use fake. So Shidiak, according to congressional testimony and USA Today reporters, Shidiak was forced to step down from his company. He used fake personas, fake websites, everything, and very, very advanced non-attributional capabilities. So that's actually the stuff that I helped develop for them. And that's why I think that when he says he didn't use government resources, like I think people think like, oh, computers or whatever. No, he used some government resources to do this. I believe he used some of the anonymity capabilities that I had actually built for him. So we are, folks, coming up into the last couple minutes of the show. And, I do want to thank everybody, again, for who's been helping me out with everything. It's huge. Again, we need to do something, folks. Excuse me. MSM's completely compromised. National Public Radio is making a joke out of it now. They're so in the tank to corporations and our government. Literally, Tucker Carlson's dad was like the head of it, right? This is where we're at. There's no trust in the media. And the media who have zero trust are the ones saying, hey, the election's over, it's this guy. No. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you're a Democrat and you think this is okay, you're a dumbass. Because they're going to turn around and they're going to use it on you. If you're a Republican and you're pissed off, well, you should be, but you should be pissed off at a lot of people. You should be pissed off at Judge Pirro. You should be pissed off at Dan Bongino. You should be pissed off at your congressman, who most assuredly not only uses it to get their own election, but they knew about what I was doing and chose to cover my stuff up, which even makes it, in my opinion, kind of like a criminal act. But again, who am I? again, thank you very much. This is it for the American Awakening. Good day and God bless. Thank you.